Can you imagine if that was the rule here, and we said, oh, well, this is a temple, and it's only for whole people. It's only for people who are put together and all of their parts are working. And those of you who don't have parts working can't come through the door. It's scriptural. It was scriptural. So the lame stayed outside the temple. This man from birth has never been inside this holy building, which is the central place of worship of his religion. Now, he's sitting out there, and John and Peter, followers of Jesus, are going up to the temple, as was the custom, to make the offerings, the customary offerings. And they are confronted by this lame man, who is probably seated there with his begging cup either at his feet, in his hand perhaps, but he does not look up. He does not meet the eyes of the people who are coming. He does not raise his head and say, could you give me money? He simply says, alms for the poor. Which is why in the text you have Peter saying to him, look at us. Now there's some who might translate it, look at us. Do we look like we have any money? No. It's look at us. Meet our eyes. Look up from your being down there. Look up from your place of humility and shame. Look up. Look at us. And then Peter says to him, I have no gold or silver. I don't have that to give to you, but what I have, I will give you. And he says, I have Jesus Christ to give to you. This is the moment of Peter's following. This is the moment of Peter becoming the verb follow. When Peter says, look at us, look into my face. I have no money to give to you, but what I have, I will give to you. Stand up and walk in the name of Jesus Christ. In that moment, this lame man who has never known anything other than the charity of strangers who have kept him essentially right where he is by giving him alms, has suddenly a whole new perspective on life. And it isn't lying on the ground. It isn't seated on the ground. It is standing up full height with strong ankles and strong legs. It is jumping up and down and dancing. It is leaping. And it is walking into the temple. It is entering the temple that he's never been allowed to enter before. And he walks in with Jesus, and he walks in with John and Peter into the temple for the first time. And everybody goes, my heavenly days, look, that's the guy who used to be out there begging. What happened? Somebody did something different. Somebody followed in a different way. They didn't just perpetuate what kept him down. They did something new and gave him something new. They gave him Jesus Christ. Now you say to me, oh, that was a miracle of healing. Well, it is a sample story that says you and I, just like Peter, are following. We are to follow. I'm trying to emphasize the verb, not the noun. I don't want to play the game of follower or disciple. I want us to think of ourselves in terms of the verb, of the movement, of the ones who are doing, of the ones who are following up, canvases that somebody sticks the word on, we should bring it into ourselves. We should look each other straight in the eye and bring it into ourselves and then carry it out into the world. We should put Jesus on someone else, like Peter did today. This week, I finished the book, The Shack. And it called to mind this whole exchange that Peter and Jesus have at that breakfast on the beach, where Peter finally embraces true forgiveness. And in embracing that true forgiveness of Jesus, he is then able to take the steps to follow. But before he was able to accept that, he was imprisoned. He was imprisoned in judgment against himself. He was imprisoned in a hatred towards himself. He could not forgive himself, and perhaps could not forgive Jesus for dying and abandoning him. And in that breakfast on the beach, the two of them became reconciled. In the book, The Shack, there's this incredible image where the author talks about what judgment is, what our position is when we are unable to forgive another human being. And that is this, that we stand with our hand around their throat, and we are bound to them with our hands around their throat in judgment until we can forgive them. Now, we are people who want justice for those who have sinned against us or sinned against someone else. And when we stand in judgment on those people, we stand with our hands around their necks. Think of this image, if you will. This was Peter's paralysis. This was what imprisoned him. And when he had breakfast with Jesus on the beach and was forgiven, the death grip that he had on himself and his calling fell away. To forgive, we must be able to let go of judgment, whether it be of ourselves or another. If we are angry with someone, if we are angry with a friend, if we are hurt by someone in our judgment of them, we stand with our hands around their necks. And the only way we can understand and live in forgiveness is to accept that we have no power to make people do what we want them to do. We have no power. We are God's. God has all of the power. That's what Peter discovered today. He discovered the power in the word that he spoke to the man who was lame. I give you Jesus Christ. Stand up and walk. And he took his hand and he pulled him up. And the man was changed forever. Understand the point that I am trying to make to all of you today is that there are things we need to let go of. There are things that we need to embrace. If we are imprisoned by judgment, if we are imprisoned by regret, if we are imprisoned by our resentment of anyone, we need to unclench our hands and get our hands off their neck and free ourselves to follow up, follow through, carry on, and succeed in the name of Jesus Christ. You're not here to have it done to you. You're here like Peter to do it.